Good evening, everyone. This is Richard Keck and all things fantasy football. Today, we're going to discuss the Week 2 rankings for the DRF Dynasty Football League. We're going to go through the scores from Week 2, talk about who's doing well, who's looking up and has a shot, and those that are have some work to do and are sitting near the bottom of the standings 2 weeks in. It's never fun to start off 0-2. Doesn't mean you're dead yet. It just means you got some work to do. We're going to touch base a little bit on last week's games, but mostly focus on this week's games. And we're going to jump in starting from 14, counting backwards to number 1. Our 14th team this week is the Motorboaters. Garrett and his 0-2 team having losses to Belichick and Motor City, which is not surprising considering the injuries to Dobbins and Etienne. I mean, you lose 2 of your top 3 running backs. It makes it definitely hard to win. Plus you start a guy with, the only double-digit score this week was Calvin Ridley. Everybody else just laid an egg, and the score reflected that, putting up a season or a week low 59 points. Motor City only put up 98.5, which would probably beat half the field. So he definitely was not unbeatable this week. But when you put 59 on the board, you're not going to beat anybody. So Motor City drops in at 0-2. They definitely have some work to do. Saquon Barkley has not looked good through 2 games. And that was kind of expected. They kind of expected that it would take him a few weeks to get healthy and get rolling. But Garrett and the Motorboaters need him to get rolling because he's literally all they have. You're running 4 wide and Saquon Barkley, Dak Prescott putting up single-digit numbers this week. Hopefully that's just a fluke and not a trend. But yeah, definitely this team has some work to do, and I'm not even sure where you start. I mean, you don't trade Calvin Ridley or Allen Robinson or even those Dak Prescott or Barkley. You maybe just ride it out, and that might be all they can do at this point. You're not going to get fair market value for some of those injured guys or even Barkley, who hasn't produced. So maybe just sitting tight and riding them out might be the way to go for the Motorboaters. Coming at number 14 at 0-2. The number 13 team is a team that got a little snake bit this week, and that is the DRF, the future DRF, and Shane Peterman having losses to St. John and then this week to Wiggins. And not that that's that big of a stretch, but Wiggins did only put up 81 points. Literally, I think you'd beat 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. So a good draw for Wiggins this week, getting a future DRF. Trade for 1 week has backfired. I traded away Aaron Jones for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, difference of about 37 points, which would have definitely changed the outcome of this game here for them. But Jameis Winston putting up only 8 definitely didn't help either. Getting only a total of 4 from your kicker and defense. As you'll see later in the show here, kicker and defense can win you a game. And not a big fan of kickers in fantasy football anymore, but for those that have them, I get the allure of not getting rid of them. But most leagues I play in don't even have kickers anymore, just because of the uncertainty of them. They're unpredictable more so than the other positions. Did get some nice games out of Chris Godwin and Tyler Boyd. Chris Carson did well on the other side of the ball for Wiggy. He definitely got a little play out of Tanyan and Zach Pascal. It's turning into be a nice start. Bucks defense getting 19. That was nice. Jalen Hurts is the future for this team at the quarterback position. So it's nice to see them guys perform. Starting a 0 from Carlos Hyde and a 0 from Scott Miller. You ain't gonna win many teams with a lot of zeros in your team. But when you look at the bench, there's zeros all the way down. Lots of zeros. Kenneth Gainwell might have to start getting a little lineup play for Wiggins' team. Other than that, there's, he's got a plan in place. He's got the plan in place for 2023 with all the picks. He's got a couple nice pieces for the youth here. You just got to ride this out and, take your lumps and take your losses this year and start utilizing those draft picks when they come. As for future, You get definitely a fluke loss here with Carson, Edwards-Helaire, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, Chris Godwin. The wins are going to come. It just didn't happen this week. Everything fell flat on its face. Better to happen all in one week than to have a player here, player there, and lose multiple games because of it. But for the time being, sitting at 0-2, definitely sitting at the 13th position. So we got DRF sitting at 13. The 12 team is straight out of Tomlin. It's another team that's in a rebuild. And Tomlin ran into a pissed off chaos team that took a loss last week that was unexpected. And this week puts up the high score of the week at 149.5. Chaos comes in as the number 4 scoring team in the league 2 weeks in. Got a monster game out of Derrick Henry. And then did decent, solid games all the way around from Mike Williams, Thalen, and Deebo Samuel. Antonio Gibson still has yet to get off the ground for this team, for the Redskins or for the Washington football team. They definitely, we expected more out of Gibson. We haven't got that yet. But I think that'll come still yet too. We just got a lot of these guys didn't play in the preseason. So you don't play in the preseason. I mean, these first 2-3 weeks are your preseason. That's the one you're getting your play time. So as you've seen across the first 2 weeks for a lot of players, there's been a lot of inconsistency. Aaron Jones, 1 week gets 2, the next week he gets 39. That's quite a difference in point scoring. And it's a lot of players were like that. So it takes a minute to get off the ground and get rolling. And I expect a lot of these high profile picks that we got that we're just sitting on waiting. We'll definitely kick it in down the road. Chaos also has Rob Gronkowski. I mean, 2 touchdowns each of the first 2 weeks. He's booming. This is a team definitely to look out for. He took an unexpected loss there week 1. Was mad enough to bench Rodgers. He would have scored another 17, 18 points if he put Rodgers in. So this is definitely a team you got to be scared of. Definitely one you want to look out for in the playoff team. As far as Tomlin coming in at the 12th spot, there's some pieces in place. Traded for a couple draft picks. Has Deshaun Watson down the road. There's some things you like about the team, but you can tell it's a definite rebuild. Another one of those take your lumps. Don't expect this team to win many games this year. And not sure that he wants to, other than the fact that someone else has his draft pick. But definitely a team that's in a rebuild. Got Najee Harris, has Deontay Johnson. So has a couple of nice pieces to go with Watson. The number 12 team, 0-2, straight at Tomlin. Losses to the champ and Chaos. You can't ask for a tougher start than that. It's a pretty rough start for that team to play those 2 teams right out of the chute like that. So rough start for straight out Tomlin, but it wasn't unexpected at this point with the pieces they have in place. Number 11 is Here Goes Nothing, and they come in at a 0-2 record with losses to Chicago in the stop order. And they were blown out last week, but they were definitely in this game this week. Came down to near the end. The final score is 121-114. Here Goes Nothing has some really nice pieces at wide receiver. Cortland Sutton, Terry McLaurin, even Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard is becoming the go-to guy. So those 3, and then you got Brandon Cooks. While he's a little bit older, I mean, he's a PPR monster right now. So I expect Here Goes Nothing to win some games, even though they're sitting at 0-2. Running back, they just don't have anything. I mean, they've got Zach Moss, they have Ronald Jones, nothing to get excited about. It's just a matter of picking the right guy in each given week and hoping somebody does something. The receivers are there. This team has got some wide receivers. They also have Jacoby Myers on the bench. So they've got some pieces. Rashad Bateman, when he comes back, definitely has wide receivers, just doesn't have any running back help. So that makes it tough to win when you don't have any running backs play, but I expect some wins from that receiving core alone. So the number 11 team, Here Goes Nothing, coming in 0-2. The number 10 team, we've already talked about, that was Wiggins, and the Hung Like Hernandez team got his first win this week, probably in quite some time, beating DRF, and I'm sure that was one that he wanted to get and be able to talk a little trash to, and we know Wiggins, he'll talk a little trash when he can. Got his first win this week. Since he doesn't have his draft pick, I mean, there's no reason not to try to win as many games as possible. He's got definitely, like we talked about earlier, he's got Robert Tonyan, Zach Pascal, Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Gainwell, and then he's got a boatload of draft picks coming up in future years. So Kenny Galladay, got to ride out the storm. Take your lumps, try to get some wins, maybe upset a couple guys and knock a couple guys down a couple pegs. Talk a little trash when you win, because you're not supposed to win. So when you do, make sure you let them hear it. So coming in at the number 10 spot, hung like Hernandez, Wiggy gets his spot in the top 10 at least. Number 9 is Show Me the Money. Show Me the Money played Show Me Your TDs this week. So we got a whole bunch of show me going on. These guys like to whip it out and show it. And the Show Me the Money fell to the TDs 90-65 this week. Show Me the Money has that loss to the TDs, but beat Motor City last week. It's a tale of two games. One week you're blowing it up, the next minute you're laying 65 on a team. Everybody across the board, Jamal Williams didn't do anything. Javonte Williams, AJ Brown, Mari Cooper did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Your highest score is a Giants kicker getting 22, and you only put up 65. So defense got 0. Not a whole lot to talk about on their offensive side of the board. Definitely have some good players. They're going to get some wins this year. It's not a great team, but it's got some good pieces, and it is definitely, you can tell, in the middle of a rebuild, and has some better pieces than a couple of the other teams that are rebuilding. So Barton did pretty good coming in, starting with nothing and ending up with what he has at the moment is pretty good. Still got a couple guys like Curtis Samuel, Darius Slayton, guys that can definitely get in the lineup at some point and contribute. So the number 9 team, Show Me the Money, coming in at 1-1. And the number 9 team. Number 8 team is the Motor City Machine Guns. Shocking to see that team down this low, but getting beat last week by Show Me the Money, not putting up a ton of points against the Motor Boaters this week. Still trying to find its legs. Got a good team, just it's not consistent. Alvin Kamara hasn't been super consistent yet. Antonio Brown had a good week last week. Put up 1 catch for 17 this week. 0 points from your kicker, 6 from a Jets defense of all things. Just not getting consistency at the moment. Got some good players even on the bench that in name that still didn't contribute. Odell Beckham's hurt. Kenny Galladay only 3 for 38. Corey Davis only 2 for 8. Guys that I think will eventually get theirs. Henry Ruggs on the bench. Noah Fant was on the bench. So there's definite players on this team. Lamar Jackson came through this week and got him the win with 35 points. Motor City will win some games. Will be a contender not only in this division, but probably for the playoff run. Just hasn't found its legs yet to keep everything moving and keep everything going. So right now they're sitting at the 8th spot. They're 8th in scoring so far this year, so it's probably right about where they should be at this point in time. Sitting at 1-1, the number 8 team, Motor City Machine Guns. The number 7 team, this puts guys up in the would-be playoff spots, even though we're a long ways from that. But the top 7 this year make the playoffs, so this kind of gives you a feel about where you're at this point in the season. Just 2 games in. St. John's Riverettes is the number 7 team. They beat DRF future deputy last week, lost to the champ this week in a game that was within reach for them. Just had a couple letdowns or whatever. Champ is back, put up some points, but wasn't unreachable. Would have lost to I believe 3 or 4 teams this week. And Riverettes weren't that far behind even. So got Matthew Stafford having a good week this week, through 2 touchdowns, 278. Nick Chubb and Damian Harris did well. Stephon Diggs only 4 for 60, but gets in the end zone. Evans scored twice. Then after that, there was not much. Some of the team guys let him down as far as players go. Do have a couple guys on the bench, and Darnell Mooney, AJ Green's actually looking like a good play now. So there's a little bit of depth here. This team definitely will get some wins. It's just whether or not they can stay consistent with the other teams in this group, in this patch of players here, or a patch of teams. I expect Stefan Diggs to eventually kick it up a notch, and Nick Chubb to kick it up a notch. So look for the River Rats to get some wins here down the stretch. Coming in at 1-1, St. John's is number 6 in scoring, 1-1, the number 7 team overall this week through 2 weeks. Coming in at number 6, I mean, I don't know how to rank him any lower. I had him pretty low. But this is probably about as low as I can get him, and still you got to give the guy credit. Stop order comes in at number 6, and is 2-0. Not only is he 2-0, he's 5th in the league in scoring. So that's better than Motor City. That's better than St. John's. So that's better than Show Me the Money and them guys too. So coming in at number 5 or number 6, 5th in scoring is Stop Order. Derek Carr has been lights out through 2 games. The running backs ain't nothing special, but they're consistent, getting jobs done. Edmonds and Gaskin. Tyler Lockett has just been blowing the socks off people, putting up 8 for 178 and a touchdown this week. Marvin Jones has been consistent, 6 for 55 and a touch. Getting good points out of your kicker and defense. So across the board, getting points everywhere you need to get points. The lowest points was Gaskin this week with 6. So then you look on the other side of the game, the other side of the field there, you got Here Goes Nothing. And again, we talked about it earlier, they got the receivers and Cooks, McLaurin, Sterling Shepard, and Sutton. All of them had, 17 and a half, 21 and a half, 12 and a half, 19 and a half. They blew it up. And so it was a battle, came down to near the end, and it was 121-114. Stop Order 2-0, and coming in at 5th in scoring. You can't drop him any lower than 6. And that's where I've got him this week, is the 6th spot. Again, with getting wins over Chaos, which was a shocker. And then Here Goes Nothing this week to go to 2-0. The number 5 team is that same Chaos team. They come in at 1-1 with losses to Stop Order, and then a win against Straight Outta Tomlin this week, where they were the number 1 overall score. Could have put up a bunch more, like we said. This team is definitely dangerous. You can play. I mean, when you're playing, and Antonio Gibson's not even at his stride yet and hasn't even begun to score points. You got Eckler on your bench, Aaron Rodgers on the bench. I mean, he's got Claypool and Robbie Anderson. There's only one team I know in our league that's deeper than this one, and this one's pretty good. So when you got those kind of guys on the bench, you have options every week, and expect that Chaos is not going to be an easy out on any given week. Beat up on a Straight Outta Tomlin team that's in a rebuild. But that's no matter. Chaos is number 4 in the league in scoring at 260.5, 4th in the league so far. Coming in at 1-1, and the number 5 team overall. Going to number 4 team is the 2-0 Show Me Your TDs that we talked about earlier. They have wins over Show Me the Money this week and Hung Like Hernandez last week. Well, I think Chaos is a better team than Bergie, and Show Me Your TDs. It's definitely got a better squad. The difference is the 2-0 to the 1-1, and the upset loss to Stop Order that Chaos had. Bergie does have a good team. Josh Allen, Miles Sanders, Julio Jones. Did take a loss with Jarvis Landry, who went to the IR. TJ Hawkinson's good. Josh Jacobs is hurt for this team. So got him up here at 4, but I'm not sure how long he's going to be able to hold it unless he gets some miracle play out of a couple of these other guys that are on the bench, because he's definitely taken on a couple injuries this week that are going to have to be dealt with going forward. Hopefully for them, if Josh Jacobs doesn't play, Kenyon Drake will get a little better, a little more touches than what he had last week. He only had 7 carries for 9 yards, did have 5 receptions for 46, but definitely wasn't the ball carrier that Josh Jacobs is. So hopefully Kenyon Drake can fill those shoes a little better than he did against the Steelers in week 3. But for the time being, show me your TDs. Coming in at the 7th highest scoring team at 198.5, ranks number 4 in the league with a 2-0 record, coming in at the number 4 spot. The number 3 team is the Chicago Fire. The number 1 team in scoring, gets a win last week against Here Goes Nothing, but fell to Belichick in an absolute shootout this week. 145.5 to 131, difference of about 13.5. Really glad I started Russell Wilson this week so that I could lose by 13.5, because if I'd have started Kyler Murray, I would have lost by a half a point, and I think that would have made me way more upset. So losing by 13.5 is better than losing by a half to me. If you would have been thinking about what you could have done. Chicago got some, has great quarterback play between Murray and Wilson, putting up 43 and 30 points. So it's just a matter of picking the right one. Dalvin Cook's consistent. Aaron Jones had a whopping 4 touchdowns this week in a recent trade. So definitely he's on fire. Justin Jefferson had 6 for 65 and a touch this week. Metcalf might find his spot on the bench. While he's very good, he's not getting the volume and target share that DJ Moore is getting in Carolina. So we might have to get DJ Moore in the lineup, or maybe even CeeDee Lamb, who had 8 for 81 this week. Got to go with the target share when you have multiple options. Darren Waller had a letdown game a little bit, 5 for 65. I mean, I guess you can't score 2 touchdowns every week. But overall, the number 1 team in scoring 283 points through 2 weeks, coming in at number 3. And while we're right here on that same game, number 2 team is the Belichick. Belichick yourself, coming in at 2-0, has wins over the Motorboaters, and then a win against Chicago this week. And blowout game by Kirk Cousins, putting 33 on the board. Cooper Kupp 31.5. Christian McCaffrey 21.5. But the game was won with the defense and kicker. Raiders kicker put up 17. Patriots D put up 19 for Belichick, compared to the 4 points for the Bills kicker and 7 for the defense. That's the ball game right there. The difference in the kicker and defense points between the two, definitely is the difference in this game. Belichick is going to win a bunch of games. He's still got a couple guys on injured reserve, specifically Michael Thomas. Get Michael Thomas back, even Will Fuller, get him back here in the lineup soon, and this team will definitely be a lot better off. Right now, you're starting Cole Beasley in your lineup, and it's not exactly blowing the brakes off you in this game, but you get one of those other guys to fill in, and this team is going to definitely be a team to reckon with. Got some nice pieces for the future as well, so look for Belichick to not be such an easy out going forward. Coming in at the number 2 spot. Number 1, we hate to do it, but he is number 2 in scoring, and he is 2-0. Is the champ, 2-0. Coming in number 2 in scoring at 281.5. Mahomes had another great day. Kelsey had a good day. Tyreek Hill had a terrible day, but no matter. Adams and Hopkins had a good day. Excuse me. And team put up 123.5. Like I said earlier, it was definitely not out of reach for the Riverettes to get them. They definitely were in the hunt, but 123 was good, I believe, for 4th this week in scoring. 1, 2, 3, yep, good for 4th in scoring. Which when you only have 3 guys who scored more than you, I mean, it means you have a very good chance of winning. So champ gets wins over Straight Outta Tomlin and St. John's. Nice duo to beat right out of the chute. Does beat Straight Outta Tomlin team that's rebuilding, but St. John's is definitely a contender, so it was a nice win for him this week. So that is the number 1 team for the week after 2 weeks of play for the DRF Dynasty League. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you all soon. This is Richard Keck for All Things Fantasy Football, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good night.